Initially, an oratory was dedicated to San Michele, surrounded by a vegetable garden, an orto as was defined at the time, hence the name San Michele in Orto, or Orsanmichele. After having been a Benedictine convent for a long time, at the beginning of the 13th century, it became the site of the city's grain market. In 1284, Arnolfo di Cambio built a large loggia, which was used for the grain trade and soon gained importance when, in 1290, a fresco of the Madonna was painted inside. From that moment, the double life of Orsanmichele began, as a place of trade and a place of worship. Due to a fire in the early 14th century, the structure was restored and redesigned, always keeping in mind its dual function. It was in 1337 that work commenced on the new building site, in which the wonderful structure that we can still admire today took shape. One of the characteristics that has made the beauty of Orsanmichele immortal is the presence of 14 niches on its facades, each inhabited by a statue of one or more saints. The niches, desired by the guilds of Florence, associations linked to a particular trade, were populated over the years with masterpieces created by such artists as Lorenzo Ghiberti, Verrocchio, Donatello, Giambologna and Baccio da Montelupo, an array of works which, on their own, convey an epical transition in the history of art, from sculptures of the late Gothic to the Renaissance era. Inside the church, another great artist, Andrea di Cione, known as Orcagna, brought to life a tabernacle of unrivaled grandeur. Imposing architecture which, like a precious casket, holds the Madonna of the Graces, painted by Bernardo Daddi. Orsanmichele, which in the 15th century acquired its definitive structure, remained crucial for the Medici lordship. In 1569, Cosimo I transformed the upper floors into an archive. It is on this occasion that Buontalenti designed the external arch and staircase, creating a direct entrance into the archive, a structure that is present to this day and which gave the monument its final shape. Over the centuries, Orsanmichele witnessed the history of the city unravel beneath its facade. From the lordship to the Grand Duchy, up to the Italian Republic, passing through the hard years of fascism and war, the latter a very delicate time. Bombings were feared, and the statues were moved from the niches to a safe place, only to be returned once conflict had ceased. In the meantime, the hall on the first floor became the location for the public reading of the Divine Comedy, organized by the Società Dantesca Italiana. In the 1960s, on the occasion of the 7th centenary of the birth of the supreme poet, the time came for new structural works that provided, among other things, for the construction of a modern staircase connecting the first floor to the second floor, devised by the firm Archizoom Associati. In the 1980s, due to the risks deriving from pollution, the large statues were removed from the niches, restored, replaced by copies, and moved to the first floor of the building into the large exhibition hall which, set up according to Paolo Grifoni's design, became the Museum of the Orsanmichele sculptures, opening to the public for the first time in 1996. In 2005, the management of the church and the museum was awarded by ministerial decree to the Superintendent's Office for the Museums of Florence, Polo Museale Fiorentino. Since 2015, following the reform on museum autonomy, Orsanmichele is part of the Bargello Museums. 3 years later, extraordinary maintenance of the Orcagna Tabernacle in 2021 Despite the pandemic emergency, and around 30 years since the first preservative intervention, the restoration of the Saint Mark by Donatello was completed, thanks to the support of Friends of Florence. These interventions were preliminary to a larger project of extraordinary works for restoration, securing redisplay and improved access, launched by the Ministry of Culture and included in the so-called Major Cultural Heritage Projects. The design for these works, following the conclusion of a competition, was awarded to the firm MAP Architetti and the firm Natalini Architetti. The project includes new entrance doors and a type of lighting that will provide the church with more space and increase the number of possible entrances. Additionally, the renewed layout of the museum requires that the statues be positioned on a higher podium than in the preceding arrangement and equipped with a rear panel so as to recreate the original position in the external niches, which allowed visitors to admire the works from the ground up. The closure of the complex for works was also a favorable opportunity to undertake a number of diagnostic analyses on the works and various maintenance activities carried out by restoration experts of the Opificio delle Pietre Dure organization. All this will allow tourists, sightseers, and experts to better appreciate Orsanmichele, a convent, granary, church, archive, and museum. A monument with a 1,000-year-old history, a work of human ingenuity that is unrivaled worldwide.